Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Deb, and welcome to another episode of PTSD and Beyond. Welcome to the PTSD and Beyond podcast, where we give you insights into post-traumatic stress, trauma recovery, healing, and beyond. I'm Dr. Deb Lind, and in each episode, I have a conversation with a guest who will stimulate your mind, touch your heart, and connect with your spirit, and also give you a greater understanding of yourself and others on this healing and recovery journey walked by so many of us before, wounded healers with lived experience and heroes. Hopefully, we'll also provide a glimpse into possibilities and purpose, hope, and inspiration. Thanks for listening and enjoy the podcast. One last thing, guys, before we dive into today's episode, if you'd like an ad-free experience and like early access to new episodes and special events, I want to let you know you can join us at patreon.com. That is patreon.com/PTSD and Beyond. All right, let's do it. Today's episode of PTSD and Beyond is proudly sponsored by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs Biorepository Brain Bank, dedicated to advancing research on brain disorders that impact veterans. The VABBB is seeking participants both with and without neurological conditions. Your involvement can lead to important breakthroughs and support life-changing research. Visit www.research.va.gov/programs and click on the VA Biorepository Brain Bank, or check out the show notes to learn how you can get involved in making a difference. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Deb here with PTSD and Beyond. I want to talk with folks today about a topic that seems so simple, and it's actually often overlooked. So which is why I want to do this episode today. And it's about the power of showing up. See, life is going to bring us highs and lows, which we know about. And what do we do on those days when we don't feel like doing anything at all? When those moments where we feel like, we just keep going against the current. It's those moments that can make or break us because of success, healing, and growth. It just doesn't happen all at once. And they come from constant effort. Constant effort of showing up every single day. And showing up looks different every day. But the point is to show up. So let's talk about why showing up, especially when it's tough, matters so much, and how even small actions can lead to big change. It's not about just doing the work and going through the motions. It's about creating momentum. It's about building resilience, and it's about stacking up all those small wins, because those small wins stacked up make a big difference. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is, why is showing up so hard? And why does it matter? We've all been there. The days where it feels absolutely impossible, to just get through the day. We feel disconnected, or maybe we're even questioning everything around us. We're questioning everybody, everything, and we're just questioning life in general. Here's the thing. Showing up in those moments is the secret to transformation. It is. It's the secret to transformation. Now, people might be going, well, why? It's because on days when you feel like you can't do it, those are the days that count the most. Those are the days that build resilience. Those are the days that actually build self-awareness and take your power back and add nuggets of self-confidence. It redefines our limits. I want you to think right now about a time where you wanted to quit and give up. You were like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I absolutely cannot take one more thing. And that what ended up happening? The one more thing actually came. And here you are. Here you are. So what happens is we build a resilience, and not a resilience in the way of we get to blow it off. Resilience in the sense of strength. A strength that I didn't even know that I had inside of me until I was tested. A strength I didn't know I had inside of me until I was tested. And that helps us reframe our limits. So think about it. When you push through and you show up for yourself, even when everything inside of you wants to quit, you're doing more than just completing a task. The other thing I want to mention is every time you keep getting back up, even if you're crawling, even if you're licking your own wounds, you still got up. And that takes a hell of a lot of strength. Do not underestimate yourself. And I speak from experience because there have been times where I'm like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I can't. And I'm laughing right now because believe me, in those moments, it is not funny at all. At all. But when I reflect back on them, I call them leather pants days. I kid you not. I've earned my leather pants. I've earned them. Damn right. All right. So we got to send ourselves a message about our commitment to healing and growth and our personal goals being stronger than any temporary discomfort or any doubt. Any doubt. Anybody that's trying to throw shade your way, anybody who's trying to say things like, oh, well, you know how to do everything, or, you're intimidating. No, actually, I'm not. Please don't project your lack of ambition on me. Those are your problems. Not mine. It's really interesting too about talking about why it matters about showing up is because when you show up, it highlights people who don't. And believe me, people who don't show up get pissed because you show up. There are people who will admire you, and there will people who will look up to you, and there will people who will be inspired by you. And those are the ones you want to keep around. But there are people who aren't going to like you because you show up because they choose not to. It's not that they can't, it's because they won't. All right. An affirmation. Somebody needs to ask me, Dr. Deb, what's an affirmation that I can use to help me with this right now about showing up? So here's one you can use. I show up for myself even when it feels hard, knowing that I am building my strength with every step. Let's say this one again. I show up for myself even when it feels hard, knowing that I am building my strength with every step. So you can pause the episode and go back and listen to that. Write it down. Keep it with you. All right. So now that we've recognized that, hey, you know what? We've got this inner strength. What do we do about it? Well, I'll tell you what we got to do about it. Okay. Now, somebody might not like me for saying this. And I'm not saying it to be hurtful, okay? I'm saying it because it's real and it needs to be said. We are what we predominantly do. You cannot toe dip on this showing up. You can't show up one time out of 365 days out of the year and say, oh, but I showed up. Did you? Did you show up? No, you showed up one time. One time does not count. What you got to do is be consistent. Because in that case that I just said, the consistency is not showing up and wanting to get reward for showing up one time. We are what we predominantly do. So let's dive deeper into consistency. So showing up isn't about grand gestures, okay? It isn't about those small, steady things that maybe we think we're going to do every once in a while. Once in a while, okay? Listen up. It is about the small, steady actions that we take every day. And I get every day looks different. Okay, we're not talking about showing up 100%. We're talking about showing up even when we don't want to show up. Okay? We're not talking about 100% output, 120%. We're talking about showing up. The other thing is you're not cheating yourself. Okay? I want to preface this. Just because you stand in the room doesn't mean you show up. You got to show up and do the work. You got to do something. Because the only person you're going to cheat is yourself. I remember I worked out with these guys years ago, and they used to say to me, you know what? If you skimp on your weightlifting, you're not kidding anybody. The only person you're cheating is yourself. And I was like, damn. But they're right. They're absolutely right. So healing and personal growth, those journeys, they're very personal. And like any journey, they require consistency and consistent effort. So think of consistency like laying bricks for a house. One brick won't make much a difference, but over time, brick by brick, you're building something strong and you're building something sustainable. And consistency builds trust with yourself. Do you know how many times people with post-traumatic stress will say, I don't know if I can trust myself? And yes, it's because of gaslighting. Absolutely. I get it. One of the reasons why. Gaslighting. Yes. The continuous and constant manipulation. Yes. Self-doubt. Yes. I hear it. Consistency builds trust with you, with the relationship that you have with yourself. So the more that you show up and the more that you start to trust your ability to handle what life throws at you, the more you have a healthier relationship with yourself. And guess what? You start trusting you. So when someone's trying to get you to doubt yourself, you'll be like, yeah, no, not so much. Because your inner self then, your gut intuition is going to say, absolutely no, I trust me. I'm not trusting you right now. You become more reliable to yourself. And you want to know what? You can become more reliable to others too, people who are in your life. But what matters first is you. You become more reliable to yourself. So whether it's consistently showing up to the gym, consistently making healthy food, making time for self-care, or simply committing to your healing process, these small actions compound. Yes, they compound into massive transformation over time. It's the coolest thing ever. So even on those days when you feel like what you're doing isn't making a difference, trust me, it is. Every action counts. Every moment showing up for yourself adds to the bigger picture of your growth, your well-being, and your healing. So guess what? I got another affirmation. Oh, she's on a roll here today. All right. So here's the affirmation for this part of the podcast episode about consistent and consistent actions. So here's the affirmation. I am consistent in my actions, knowing that each step leads me toward greater healing and success. Now I'm going to add something onto this one. I'm going to say it again, but I'm going to add something onto it. I am consistent in my actions, knowing that each small step leads me toward greater healing, greater success, and greater trust with myself. Greater trust with myself. Because if anybody's been there, we know one of the things that abusers try to do, especially narcissistic abusers and people with narcissistic tendencies, honey, the stronger that you are, the more a greater threat that you are. And they'll do and say whatever it takes to tumble that down. So remember, as you are consistent, you're also, yes, being consistent with your healing, being consistent with your transformation, and being consistent in trusting yourself. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, is there a little bit of a psychology behind all this stuff? What do you think? You think so? I think so. We're going to talk about, something that is rooted in psychology. It's called the winner's effect. It's about why small wins matter. We already know with consistency, those things can add up, right? Remember, they compound on one another. And let's talk a little bit about this thing called the winner's effect. It's a simple idea. And what it is basically when you achieve a small win, it boosts our self confidence and releases dopamine, the feel good chemical in our brain. It creates a positive reinforcement and it makes us want to keep going. It makes us want to keep showing up. The winner's effect tells my brain and tells our brain, I can do this, which is why celebrating even the smallest victories are so important. One of the things that I have found that we do is we diminish our wins. We diminish the win. Okay, hypothetically say, actually, this happened in our PTSD and Beyond group, our chat group, our peer support chat group. A person had said that they actually stood outside on their front porch. And this is a person who was isolating, but they stood outside on their front porch. That was a massive win to celebrate for that person. Now, somebody else could have said, well, I'm just standing on the front porch. We need to stop doing that, by the way, folks. Somebody's 10, just because it's R2. No, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see somebody actually, get out that little blow whistle and start celebrating that person's 10 along with them. So yes, standing on the front porch might be a big thing for somebody. It might be small. It could be basic care. I took a shower. For some folks, that's where they're at. We meet people with where they're at. For me, what I'm looking for is, you know what? This time of year, we do have hornets, and they are not my favorite thing to hang around. And yes, if I can still go to an apple orchard and be around all the hornets and whatever's going on, that's a win for me. But we need to stop diminishing the things that we do. Maybe it means that, I don't know, we completed something. Maybe it means that, I don't know, you wipe down the countertops in the kitchen, and that's something that you're struggling with because there's just so many things on your to-do list. Whatever it is, please remember to celebrate it. Please, whenever you do diminish it and say, oh, that was that was nothing. Pause, full stop. You know what? It is a big thing. Because remember, all those things add up. So no matter how small the victory is, it is important. I'm going to say that again. No matter how small the victory, it is important. So celebrate even the smallest victories because, yes, they are important. Think about it this way. When you set a goal and you achieve even just a part of it, like finishing a project or getting through a tough day, or even something as simple as going for a walk, you're stacking up those wins. Stack up the wins. Stack them. Stack up the wins because those wins start to build momentum. Remember when we were in elementary school? Did you ever have a teacher that would have like that board and they would take those gold stickers? I love those star stickers, and you'd see people and you'd be like, oh, hey, look at that person's got like a whole row, and I only got a few. You had a few. Don't compare yourself. Celebrate your wins. So if it means you're putting a sticker on the calendar, maybe you're drawing a star. Look at all the stars. Look at all the stars because all the stars add up to be a constellation, and that constellation has your name on it. Remember? Yes. Those wins start to build momentum. Even with each small win, guess what? You gain more motivation to keep moving forward with every small win. Even with every small win, you gain more motivation to keep going. And this is especially important when healing from trauma. On our toughest days, we might feel like, there's no progress being made. Because I'll tell you something else that we're really famous of doing is like scrapping the whole project. We go right from, hey, I'm building momentum to the never, right? It's never going to happen. The black and white thinking. I'm laughing because in this moment, obviously, I'm not experiencing black and white thinking, but it happens. I'm never going to get into those suits in that closet. Baloney. Baloney. Why is it baloney? Why is it malarkey? Because consistency is key. One moment of going to, 2 scoops and getting some ice cream isn't going to undo everything that I've been doing for months. We are what we predominantly do. So yes, this is especially important when healing from trauma. On our toughest days, again, it might feel like no progress is being made, but every time we push through, and pushing through can mean I'm going to pause and practice self-care. Pushing through doesn't mean I'm going to swallow it even more and hurt myself. It means I'm going to pause and take self-care. It's okay. We show up. That's a way of showing up for ourselves too. When we care for ourselves, when we show ourselves love, and we accomplish even the smallest task, we are rewiring our brain to believe in our capacity for healing and success. And we're getting that hit of dopamine. Isn't that the coolest thing ever? We really are fascinating. I know, I thought I was going to be a dentist when I was growing up. Okay. Here I am. All right. So, Dr. Deb, do you have an affirmation for that? You know what? By golly, I sure do. All right. So, here's the affirmation for this one. Every small win fuels my momentum and moves me closer to my goals. Now, I'm going to adjust this one a little bit. Every small win fuels my momentum and moves me closer to my goals and closer to healing. I love that. All right, so we talked about consistency. We talked about showing up. We talked about celebrating small wins and how small wins compound and give us that dopamine hit. We also talked about not diminishing our wins, but to celebrate them instead. And here's something else that's super cool. I kid you not, I've had a very emotional day today. I have gotten unexpected messages, and someone sent me something today that links to this part of the podcast episode, which is showing up to support others and build a community. I got an email from someone today, and I had to read it a couple times because the first time I read it, I was like, are you talking to me? I did a double take to make sure like it wasn't a spam kind of thing, like, who is this again? And this is for me. What? And I read it again. And the second time I read it, I got really emotional. Because what they said was very kind and it just was very touching. And I read it a third time and I thought to myself, wow, you know what? That's really cool. And I actually did say to myself, if you ever wonder about your purpose, this is the email you're going to read whenever you're wondering, like, am I doing the right thing? Because, sometimes, like I said, in the beginning of the episode, sometimes we're like the salmon and we're swimming up the current going, I don't know if I can take one more. But here, the next part, showing up to support others and building a community. See, showing up isn't just about ourselves. It's about the people around us too. When we show up consistently, we're role modeling and setting an example for other people. Remember what I said. Some people are going to find inspiration in it. Some people are going to admire you for it. Some people are going to hang out with you because you're going to feed off the vibe. You're going to give the vibe. They're going to give the vibe, and you guys are going to be vibing together. And for some people, it's going to piss them off. That's the reality of it. Now, the thing is, we're role modeling and setting an example for other people, and we're creating a ripple effect. So whether it's our friends, our family, our community, people that we work with, anybody who listens to this podcast episode, our efforts to be present, to be reliable and supportive makes a difference in their lives. And that email that I got, that I read 3 times, that's the email. One of them that is like, look, you know what? This means something to me. And thank you for doing it. So think about this podcast episode and think about PTSD and Beyond, the podcast itself and the community that we have. It is a community. It's a community where we show up for one another. It's a community where we have an and community. We have people with lived experience stories, and we also have people who are practitioners, who are researchers, who are committed to new research, new ideas of, yes, healing trauma around the world. Around the world. Because guess what? When we show up, in addition to helping ourselves, we're inspiring other people to do the same. And yep, I got an affirmation for this one. Of course I do. Of course I do. And when I say we're better together, we're stronger together, and take what resonates and go beyond, that's not just a tagline. It's not a marketing thing. I really thought about what is the final message I want people to take with them that we're going to say every time. Every time we have a podcast episode. Yes, we are better together. Absolutely. We are stronger together. Of course we are. And yeah, take what resonates. Take what speaks to you in your heart. Information lives in our brain. What's going to stay with us touches our heart. Take what resonates and go beyond. Absolutely. It's something that we mean. It's something that we value. It's something that we do, and it's something we hope others do too. So here's the affirmation. I show up for myself and others, creating space for growth, support, and connection. Now I'm going to add something to this. Of course you are. It's like when I cook. Do you think I read recipes and follow a recipe? Are you kidding me? I'm like the rebel of cooking. I look at it, I read it, I take it, and I go, yeah, you know what? Thanks a lot. There might be some, but I'm going to add my own flavor to it. So like this affirmation, I got something I want to add to it. All right. I show up for myself and others, creating a space for growth, support, connection, healing, and unconditional love. I'm going to say that one more time. I show up for myself and others, creating a space for growth, support, connection, healing, and unconditional love. Because I've said it so many times that love is the antidote to pain and suffering. It is. Love is the antidote to isolation. Love is the antidote to loneliness. Love is the antidote to anguish. Love is the antidote to pain and suffering. All right. So I got something else for everybody. Oh, here she goes. No, we're not done yet. You thought we were going to end the episode? No, not quite. This episode is a little bit longer than we typically do. And I really thought about, I think about actually every episode, like, what are we doing? What's the purpose? What do I hope that people get out of it? But today I want people to actually try some stuff if you're open to it. And the next thing I'd like folks to try or consider, just listen to it, is to do a mindfulness practice on reflection and reflecting on showing up in your small wins. So whether you choose to journal about it or take a few minutes and, reflect on your week. But before we close out today, let's take a moment and do a mindfulness exercise. I'm hoping that this will help you and help me and help us reflect on how showing up for yourself and celebrating your small wins can shift our mindset and also our energy. So the first thing to do is literally just breathe naturally on your own. You don't have to, take deep inhales or exhales. Just notice that you're breathing. And allow yourself to be fully present with this podcast episode. Now, the next thing I'd like folks to do is to move their attention from their breathing to a moment recently, to recall a moment recently where you showed up for yourself. Maybe it was some small task you completed. Maybe it was, something you needed to do as the seasons are changing. Maybe reaching out to a friend or just getting through the day. Whatever it was, just visualize and recall that moment. And move your attention from recalling the moment to remembering what it felt like to accomplish it. So the sense of accomplishment, and again, no matter how small it might have seemed, but remember that feeling. Remember what feeling of accomplishing something, an accomplishment feels like. And recognize the win. Acknowledge and recognize the moment as a win. You showed up for yourself, and that is worth celebrating. Allow yourself to feel proud. Allow yourself to recognize the accomplishment. Allow yourself to recognize yourself and feel proud of that effort and feel proud of you. And think about repeating this affirmation. Each day I show up, I am building the life that I deserve. Just take a minute and let those words sink in. And feel the power of your commitment to yourself. Each day I show up, I am building the life that I deserve. And lastly, take a moment to feel the gratitude for your resilience. Take a moment to feel the gratitude for your strength. Because you're stronger than you know. By showing up, you're already winning. You're already laying the foundation for a better future, one step at a time. And as we wrap up today's episode, remember this. Showing up is a powerful act of self-care and resilience. It is not about being perfect or always feeling motivated. It's about making a choice to be present and to take consistent action, even when it's tough. The more you show up, the more momentum you build, and the closer you get to the life that you want. So celebrate your small wins. Be proud of the progress you're making. And remember, each day you show up, you're taking one step closer to healing, success, and personal growth. All right, you guys, this is Dr. Deb with PTSD and Beyond. You know what I'm going to say. We're better together, we're stronger together, and take what resonates and go beyond.